Welcome to Snooze with Sam and the North Coast 500. This is an 8-chapter series set around the North Coast 500, a stunning 500-mile road trip around the north of Scotland. Throughout this series, we follow 3 friends as we discover many of the sights and sounds of this incredible route, with some antics along the way, of course. Be sure to listen every week. Please subscribe to the channel, share these stories with your loved ones, and support me by becoming a patron. And don't worry, I'll still be uploading a story every Saturday night. Lastly, a thank you to all my patrons and fans. Your support means the absolute world. So as always, lie back, take a deep breath, and enjoy this story. Chapter 5: Scourie to Smoo Cave. On the 5th day, we were all awake early on. Around 6 a.m, the spring turned summer light already in full force. But it wasn't the light which woke us from our sleeps. There was something else as well. The light rattles and taps of hailstone on our tents and on the car roof. Like a natural alarm clock, we all unzipped our tents, poked our heads out of the gaps, and were immediately greeted by something extraordinary. We had to lift a hand to our eyes to shield our sight from the low rising sun. Its rays striking us at full bore. Not only was the sun rising, with its hot pinks and oranges illuminating the clouds and sky with a myriad of textures and hues, but the combination of the sunlight through the hail was something none of us could remember seeing in our past lives. Different to rain diffusing the light, the hail stood stronger in the air. like a thicker curtain, one with mass. There was a whiteness to the air, like a mystical cloud which just hung there, softly in space. I could imagine this was the kind of sight which inspired a generation of watercolour artists in the Victorian era. It was a view which would stir the soul, regardless of any soundtrack. But the reality of anything, the occasional thump on the nose of a larger than average hailstone was enough to shake us out of our daydream. It truly was one of those pinch yourself moments. So, admittedly, we allowed a little mist to enter our eyes. It was now time to start our day. Further and further north we ventured. Our aim to reach the very north of Scotland, near Durness. For such a small country, it felt as though the wilderness never ended. Just more and more open space, fewer and fewer villages, and narrower roads. Although getting lighter occasionally, the hail continued, sometimes turning to rain when the air warmed. It kept the roads glistening in the broken sunshine. We turned up the final stretch of the A838 through the furthest outreaches of Sutherland. Durness was but only 30 miles away or so, and then we were at the top of mainland Great Britain. "Look," Martin exclaimed, "wee baby coos." And he was right. Just by the road, on the far side of a barbed wire fence, stood a mother Highland cow and its calf. Soggy ginger fringes hiding their eyes, they chewed slowly and deliberately on some very tasty grass. Shall we give them a little company? Jake asked. They look a bit bored. Pulling over the car dutifully, we all braced ourselves for the wet hail to rattle our noggins once more, causing us to wince against the stinging artillery. Bagsy the wee one, I said, reaching out the back of my hand, inviting a wee safety sniff from the wee hairy cow. By the way, Bagsy is often a term we use for dibs. It did so, as invited, throwing its damp nose out in intrigue, followed by a curious lick, as if to confirm I wasn't a danger, but also that I wasn't grass. The mother coo seemed to side-eye the proceedings, almost taking heed of the calf. Both Martin and Jake then offered a similar inviting palmful of tender grassy shoots. The mother hesitated, poker face intact, giving nothing away. Even against the hail, we could hear the cowy cogs turning away slowly in her head, calculating. Pros versus cons, gain versus losses. After what felt like an eternity, then and only then did she reach out her neck, tongue protruding, and inhaled the grass. It seemed as though after a long and arduous thinking process she had made up her mind. Or maybe she just forgot what she was thinking about. Weaving a little goodbye to the hairy coos, we set our sights on the small village ahead. Welcome to Durness, the sign read. And what a welcome it was. In a matter of seconds, the hail seemed to recede, letting the sunlight hit in all its warm and toasty energy. Secretly, we had all been looking forward to this one place near Durness. And that place was Smoo Cave, a famous hot spot for all those circumnavigating the North Coast 500. Sidling off the main road, we headed for a small car park, lined with tufty, barren landscape grass. And when we emerged onto it, we were once again greeted by the wonderful sounds of the crashing North Sea waves. We followed the signs, walked around the wee slatted paths, until there, immediately before us, in almost unbelievable theatre, was Smoo Cave. An incredible sea cave carved into the rock cliffs. It looked like a giant's lair, the back of the cave descending into total darkness, hiding anything from view. Looking at each other, with a slight grin, we hopped off the path and made our way into the mouth of the cave.